the oil companies, which have gotten much greater under Bush and Cheney. And we could spend about $50 billion doing what America does best. It's time we start acting like Americans again. We can solve these problems if we focus on innovation and technology. So yes, all these alternative forms of energy are important. So is fuel efficiency for cars, and so is energy efficiency for buildings. I'm agnostic about nuclear power. John is right that until we figure out what we're going to do with the waste and the cost, it's very hard to see nuclear as a part of our future, but that's where American technology comes in. Let's figure out what we're going to do about the waste and the cost if we think nuclear should be a part of the solution. But this issue of energy and global warming has the promise of creating millions of new jobs in America, so it can be a win-win if we do it right.
The YouTube debate in Utah in July. Paul Gunter also joins us, director of the Reactor Oversight Project at the Beyond Nuclear, an advocacy group composed of nuclear power and that's opposed to nuclear power and nuclear weapons. Can you talk a little about their positions on nuclear power and nuclear weapons?
Well, both Senators Obama and Clinton have basically displayed a lot of indecisiveness about all the concerns with nuclear power, its cost, the inherent dangers, the unsolved nuclear waste issue, the proliferations issue. But I think that what's most notable about that clip is the evasiveness, the indecisiveness that the campaigns have taken. And it's also been reflected in legislation with both Senators Obama and Clinton. One of the main concerns is that both Clinton and Obama have very strong backing, financial backing from the major CEOs from the nuclear industry. For Senator Obama, the Chief Executive Officer, John Rowe, with Exelon Nuclear, Chicago-based, largest nuclear utility in the country. And Senator Clinton has strong financial backing from David Crane, who's the CEO for NRG Energy, which is based in New Jersey. Both Exelon and NRG right now have got applications before the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission to build new nuclear power stations in Texas. It's disturbing that both Senators Obama and Clinton left out nuclear in their Utah speech, but we've seen that basically this kind of indecisiveness and being all over the board indicates that influence peddling with the nuclear power industry is alive and well on Capitol Hill and in these presidential campaigns.
I'd like
Another major.
I'm sorry, I'd like to ask you about John. Obviously, John Edwards is out of the race, but there was a sharp difference between Edwards and either one of them on this issue, wasn't there? Absolutely.
Edwards was basically raising the issues with nuclear power. He took strong positions. I mean, let's face it. Right now, the industry is poised for what it calls a renaissance, what we recognize as a relapse to a failed, an economic disaster, as well as, raising the risks of more Chernobyls, more 3 Mile Islands, and the spread of nuclear weapons around the world. We need decisive, leadership in a 21st energy policy, rather than to go back to the failure of the 20th century, particularly focusing on the hegemony between coal, oil, and nuclear. So Edwards was making those statements. I think he was demonstrating that leadership, and both Obama and Clinton are hedging. Actually, both are remaining open to one of the largest managerial disasters in U.S. business history, where if we repeat that mistake, it's a little like seeing Lucy offer Charlie Brown, this football again. We know what's going to happen. Why the Clinton and Obama campaigns should remain open to making that mistake again and falling flat on our back while we're facing the imminent and rising risks of rapid climate change. We need leadership now to make decisive policy that sets us on a course where we're not going to be faced with climate change, nuclear waste, and more nuclear weapons.
Paul Gunter, in looking at this New York Times piece of February 3rd by Mike McIntyre, he also talks about the chief political strategist of Barack Obama, David Axelrod, who has worked as a consultant to Exelon. A spokeswoman for Exelon said Axelrod's company had helped an Exelon subsidiary, Commonwealth Edison, with communications strategy periodically since 2002, but had no involvement in the leak controversy or other issues. If you could comment on that and what the leak controversy was all about.
Well, basically what the story is that, for more than a decade, Exelon Nuclear, chiefly at nuclear power stations at Dresden and Braidwood, have been experiencing leaks of radioactive tritium into groundwater, where, at least at Braidwood, on 2 occasions, more than 3 million gallons of radioactive water was spilled out onto the surface, where it soaked into groundwater, ran off-site over shallow drinking water wells in neighboring residents, and did not disclose these spills until a constituency of community organizers began to raise this issue, noting that they were really concerned about not only these spills, but cancer clusters and pediatric brain cancers that are around the facilities. And I think
we just have 30 seconds, so if you could tell us how Barack Obama was involved with this.
Well, they came to Barack Obama, and basically he, set out with strong legislation that would have required mandatory reporting by these utilities to local communities, to basically alert them to these leaks. But as the influence of the Nuclear Energy Institute and Exelon began to come into play, the legislation was basically pulled, all the teeth were pulled out of it, and leaves these communities vulnerable.
Well, Paul Gunter, we're going to leave it there. I want to thank you very much for being with us. He is director of the Reactor Oversight Project at Beyond Nuclear, an advocacy group opposed to nuclear power and nuclear weapons, Max Fraser of The Nation, and Bob Kuttner of American Prospect. That does it for our broadcast. Democracy Now! Is produced by Mike Burke, Shruvho Kudus, Aaron Mate, Angelique Kamet, Jeffrey Hagerman, Steve Martinez, Nicole Salazar, Robbie Karen, Mike DeFilippo, Miguel Noguera, and Peter Curries, our engineers. Special thanks to Becca Staley and Rebecca Silver and Samantha Chambly. We have a job opening, a full-time TV producer here in Manhattan. In New York City, need Final Cut experience. You can go to our website at democracynow.org for further information. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. Thanks for joining us.